Chapter 17 is like an appendix to chapter 16. This is the famous chapter of the scarlet woman, or the prostitute, meretrix in Latin, the woman who earns, meri or merari, meritor, meretrix, one who earns. The whore is a figure of the reasons for the damnation of all of the souls in chapter 16, from sensuality to infidelity to God. And one of the 7 angels came who had the 7 vials, and he spoke with me, saying, Come, I will show thee the condemnation of the great harlot, who sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and they who inhabit the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her whoredom. One of the 7 angels, any one, all of the angels from chapter 16 say the same thing, so it could be any one of them. And he spoke with me. This angel spoke with John in intimacy because of John's purity. And he said, Come, I will show thee the damnation of the great whore, who sitteth upon many waters. Come, in other words, retire within thy soul. If an angel says come, is retire within thy soul. Pray in order to see the inner truth. The great harlot is, in the moral sense, infidelity to God. In the allegorical sense, the Antichrist and his allies. I will show you the damnation of the great harlot, who sitteth upon many waters, abundant waters. Abundant waters are the peoples. For instance, the kings and the inhabitants of the earth, verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and those who inhabit the earth are become drunk from the wine of her prostitution. The scarlet woman, with whom the kings of the earth have fornicated, and the dwellers of the earth have become drunk. The dwellers of the earth are, again, earthly people who say, we have here a lasting city, we do not seek one that is to come. Materialists. Compare Hebrews chapter 13, verse 14. St. Paul says, we have not here a lasting city, we seek one that is to come. The inhabitants of the earth here are those who settle down contentedly in this life as though there is no other, who only want to live for this life. Materialists, again, you could call it. So the inhabitants of earth in verse 2 are the materialists. The materialists have grown drunk with the wine of her prostitution. The wine is the attractiveness of creatures, the sweet attractiveness of creatures, effacing the 4 last things, heaven, hell, death, judgment. And verse 3, the angel took me away in spirit into the desert, and I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And he took me away in spirit into the desert. Spirit is ecstasy, and the desert is here the wasteland of sin. The angel took me away in ecstasy into the wasteland of sin. And I saw a woman sitting upon the scarlet beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman represents sensuality, whereas the spiritual life is virile. Softness and sensuality of materialism, whereas the spiritual life is virile. The beast is the devil, who carries sensuality slowly but surely to hell. The scarlet-colored beast is his criminality. The beast is criminal, bloody, criminal. The 7 heads are the capital sins, the 7 capital sins. The scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads are the capital sins, and 10 horns are pride. Verse 4. And the woman was clothed round about with purple and scarlet, and gilt with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of the abomination and filthiness of her fornication. The woman was clothed round about with purple and scarlet. The purple is the royalty of sensuality. She is the queen of this world. The scarlet lining, the beast is scarlet, and then the lining of the woman's coat is scarlet. The scarlet lining is the hidden cruelty of sensuality. Sensuality looks all soft and nice outside, but inside it's cruel. Like the girl getting an abortion. The inner cruelty of sensuality, the scarlet lining. She's gilt with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of the abomination and filthiness of her fornication. Decked in gold is her outer appearance of wisdom and charity. The precious stone is a hypocritical wearing or putting on of Christ, a hypocritical show of Christ. And the pearls are apparent virtues. So there's a show of Christianity. Having a golden cup in her hand, full of the abomination and filthiness of her fornication. The golden cup is divine truth. But in her hand, that truth is misinterpreted. In her hand, that divine truth is misinterpreted and mishandled, so that out comes only her own filth. Verse 5, and on her forehead a name was written, a mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of the fornications and the abominations of the earth. On her forehead means that her wickedness is clear to see for all who see with the eyes of faith. On her forehead is written mystery. Mystery, that same wickedness is unintelligible to materialists, to worldlings, people of the world. Babylon is the city of evil raised by human pride against the city of God, mothering all kinds of wickedness and sin. Mother of fornications, Babylon is mothering all kinds of wickedness and sin. Verse 6, and I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and I wondered when I had seen her with great admiration. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints. Drunk shows the wild hatred of the world for Christians. The wild hatred of the world, of sensuality, of materialism, for true Christians. And when I had seen her, I wondered with a great admiration. Admiration means rather astonishment than approval. The old use of admiration. John is astonished at the success and serenity of the harlot, the scarlet woman. And the angel said to me, why dost thou wonder? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast which carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. What are you wondering at, says the angel. Why is John surprised? He knows the wickedness of man and the justice of God. Why should John be surprised that the scarlet woman looks so successful and serene, just like Clinton? Why be so surprised at somebody like Clinton? You know how wicked men are. Oh yeah, but I'm longing for him to get his comeuppance. Don't worry. God's going to get him. Matthew 5:39, Deuteronomy 32, verse 35, Hebrews 10, verse 30. So it's original from Deuteronomy. Revenge not yourselves, my dearly beloved, give place unto wrath, for it is written, revenge is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. The Psalms constantly say the same thing. Notice the Psalms. I mean, you and I sort of sit there. But look at what it's saying. Look at what it's saying. The bad guys are going to get it. The good guys are going to, it's constant. The good guys are going to be rewarded and the bad guys are going to get it. Read it. Yeah, it's there. Hey. So he also knows God's justice. So, again, if the wickedness man seems to be careering out of control, is not out of control of God's justice, and none of it will escape the justice of God. So John shouldn't be worrying, or shouldn't be surprised. Now, the beast whom thou hast seen was, and is not, and will climb again out of the abyss, and will go to his destruction. And the inhabitants of the earth will be astonished, whose names are not written in the book of life from the beginning of the world, when they see the beast, which was and is not. The devil's power was finished with Jesus. So, fuit, before Christ. It is not, the devil was flattened by Jesus Christ. Will ascend, the devil will come back again after Jesus Christ. So you've got, again, a very swift history of the world. Before Christ, the devil was. Under Christ, the devil is not. At the end of the world, the devil will climb out again. Exactly what we're seeing. The devil's power was finished with the incarnation of Jesus, relatively speaking. But with the Antichrist, he will regain his old power. And he will perish, and he will go to his destruction, but he'll only regain his power very briefly. It was, it is not. It will climb out of the abyss at the end of the world and go to its destruction. It won't have very long to triumph at the end of the world. 3.5 years, the reign of the Antichrist. And all the inhabitants of the earth will be stunned, whose names are not written in the book of life from the beginning of the world, seeing the beast which was and is not. The inhabitants of the earth are the worldlings who put all their confidence in the beast. Here is the meaning of the vision. The vision's wisdom for the wise. The 7 heads are men used by the devil down the ages, all being aspects of the Antichrist, mountains of pride. The 7 heads are 7 mountains upon which the woman sitteth, and they are 7 kings. The 7 heads are men used by the devil down the ages, all being aspects of the Antichrist to come, mountains of pride. There are 7 mountains upon which the woman sits, and they are 7 kings. They are kings as leading men. They are 7 as evoking the 7 ages of the world. This is another system of the 7 ages of the world. It's not the one we usually expound. And it says, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he is come, he must remain a short time. If those are the 7 ages of the world, then we're talking about 5 ages past: Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Ezra. The 6th age of Christ is running. The 7th age of the Antichrist is yet to come, and will not last long. Unless those days have been shortened, no flesh should be saved, but for the sake of the elect, those days shall be shortened. Matthew 24:22.
Verse 11. And the beast which was and is not, it too is the 8th, and it belongs to the 7 and goes to its destruction. The devil is number 8 as being also a sinner, and he will also be ruined. The beast itself is said to be the 8th and is of the 7, because they all act under the devil and by his instigation, so that his power is in them all, yet so as to make up, as it were, an 8th empire. Challoner says that the 7 are 7 empires. That, fair enough, could be gained once again. One interpretation doesn't necessarily exclude others, but the sense is the same. The sense is still the same. The devil includes all of the 7, and so belongs to them, and yet he's distinct from them, and therefore you can count him kind of as an 8th, and he is going to his destruction. The devil will also be ruined at the general judgment, obviously. Verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest, the 10 kings, who have not yet received the kingdom, but shall receive power as kings 1 hour after the beast. What does that mean? The 10 horns are vassal kings of the Antichrist. In other words, subordinate kings, subject kings, under kings, viceroys of the Antichrist. The 10 horns are 10 kings who have not yet received their kingdom, who will receive their kingdom only in the time of the Antichrist, not true kings, but tyrants. Potestatem tamquam reges, their power as kings, they're not true kings. For 1 hour, reigning only briefly, post bestiam, in the wake of the devil. As attached to the Antichrist as an animal's horn is to the animal, harsh, insensitive, serving to gash the Antichrist's enemies. It's the idea of a horn. Just think of the horns of a bull. They will receive power for 1 hour after the beast, coming in the wake of the devil, thanks to the devil, by the power of the devil. Verse 13. These have one design, and their strength and power they shall deliver to the beast. One design is to destroy the kingdom of Christ, just like today. And they will put all of their power at the service of the devil. Verse 14. These shall fight with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, because he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and elect and faithful. These shall fight with the Lamb. These 10 kings, with their one plan of destroying the kingdom of Christ, will fight with the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them, because he is the Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with the Lamb are called, chosen, and faithful. So this is verse 14, is the defeat by Christ of the kings of the Antichrist, of the under-kings of the Antichrist. Notice 14, they will fight with the Lamb. Christ conquers as Lamb by his meekness and gentleness, not by physical violence, although he's going to use all his majesty at the last judgment. So it's the victory of Christians also, verse 14. The victory of those who are called, chosen, and are faithful. This book, the time of the Antichrist, this book is obviously going to be a great consolation. Things will look even worse then than they do now. Bad enough they look now, but they will look much worse then. And he said to me, verse 15, the waters which thou sawest, where the harlot sitteth, are peoples and nations and tongues. The waters means all peoples, like the sea, all peoples. In other words, the Antichrist will dominate the world. Verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest in the east, these shall hate the harlot, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and shall burn her with fire. The horn kings, the 10 horn kings, having served the Antichrist and then been defeated by the Lamb, will turn on whoever seduced them, and will in hell rebuke them. They're all, whatever deceived and seduced the 10 horn kings to make them serve the Antichrist, they will realize too late that they have been deceived, but in hell they will tear to pieces. There's going to be no friendship in hell. They will all tear one another to pieces. And these will tear to pieces whoever it was that served the woman, sensuality, whoever it was that, on behalf of sensuality, made them into kings of the Antichrist. So they will hate the harlot, and they will make her desolate. They will strip her bare and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. The horn kings, having served the Antichrist, having been defeated by the Lamb, having been seduced into serving the Antichrist and then being defeated by the Lamb, will turn on whoever seduced them. And in hell they will rebuke, expose, tear them to pieces, and generally aggravate them. 17. For God hath given into their hearts to do that which pleaseth him, that they give their kingdom to the beast, till the words of God be fulfilled. God gave them free will to do what he, God, wanted, with the result that they then went and did what the beast wanted. Using the free will that God gave them to do God's service, they turned it around and used it to do the Antichrist service, and therefore the punishment is just. God gave into their hearts to do what pleased him, with the result that they gave their kingdom to the beast, and done it consummenta verba Dei, until God said, enough. Until the time appointed by God. Because, of course, when somebody gives himself over to evil, at a given point, God says, that's enough, and stops it in one way or another. And the woman who hast thou seen is the great city, which has kingdom over the kings of the earth. The woman, again, the harlot is sensuality. Great city which hath kingdom over the kings of the earth. Sensuality which reigns over the mightiest on earth. Sensuality building an empire of evil.